Tonight we have John Lofton from the IOTC, the Institute on the Constitution. He's communications director for the IOTC, and he's host of the American View. It's a radio program, comes on once a week, online.
Hold your applause, please. I woke up to the voice of George Miller, Representative George Miller, Democrat of California, been in the House decades, way too long. And he was hailing Obamacare, bellowing about how it is, and I quote, a restoration of the American dream, unquote. No, the American dream, the original American dream, was not to have the central national government give us health care, or, I might add, education, or housing, or clothing, or food, or a myriad of other things that the government is involved in. But Representative Miller is not the only one who is ignorant and totally clueless regarding the true American dream. Nixon, in his first inaugural address, said, "The American dream does not come to those who are asleep." That was pretty much my reaction, too, when I read that. President Carter, Jimmy Carter, in his first inaugural address, said, "The American dream endures," it's a quote, "it is ever expanding," those are his words, "and our belief in it is undiminished." He just never said what it was. It's eternal, it's growing, like Oprah, ever expanding and undiminished. Kennedy, remember Kennedy? The dream will never die. Again, the eternality, but never a definition of what exactly it is. I remember with Chappaquiddick, they talked about, you remember, maybe you remember, the Kennedy curse. You remember they talked about, what is this terrible curse? I said, yeah, what is it? What is this terrible inability to drive straight while drunk? What is it? It's inexplicable. The Kennedy curse. So what exactly is the American dream? It's none of those things I've talked about. It is not bread alone. It is not rags to riches. It is not that anyone can come to America and become famous and rich. That pretty much is what, and of course on your own home, which is becoming more of a problem thanks to the kind of dream advocated by these people I've already quoted. I believe the real American dream was articulated by the Puritan leader John Winthrop on board ship on his way here to the New World. In his sermon, A Model of Christian Charity. And remember, our country was founded on this continent 160 or so years prior to the official founding. Our country was not actually founded in the colonial period. In fact, when you get off this continent, there's a very real sense in which you could say our country, America, is based on an idea and a creed that's over 1,000 years old, 1,000 years of Christian history. But I think the real American dream, if you want to see it, is read the text of A Model of Christian Charity, in which he spoke of those who were coming here as coming here to make a covenant with God, with the Lord Jesus Christ. He spoke of the necessity to obey him if we were to succeed. In his sermon, Winthrop said that the only way for this country, this people, to avoid shipwreck and to provide for our posterity was to follow the counsel in the book of Micah, to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God, the God of the Bible, the only God there is. This, he said, if we were to do it, would knit us together in our work as one man, meaning one human being. This would make us that city upon a hill, with all eyes of all people on us. Now, the city on a hill has been subject to massive quote abuse. You've all heard it. Reagan and others talk about the shining city on a hill. The phrase is from the book of Matthew, and there's no shining in it. And we're not a shining city on a hill. We're a stinking pile of garbage in a valley. That's what we are now, compared to what we were in the earliest part of our history. Winthrop said this. It was a warning. It comes at the end of his sermon. It was a warning. If we shall deal falsely with our God in this work we have undertaken, and so cause him to withdraw his help from us, we shall be made a story and a byword through the world. We shall open the mouths of enemies to speak evil of the ways and all professors for God's sake. We shall shame the faces of many of God's worthy servants, and cause their prayers to be turned into curses upon them, until we be consumed out of the good land whither we are going. We are commanded this day, he said, to love the Lord our God and to love one another, to walk in his ways, to keep his commandments and his ordinance and his laws and the articles of our covenant with him, that we may live and be multiplied. And the Lord our God may bless us in the land we go to possess. Finally, in his sermon, he continues the warning and concludes as follows. Quote, "But if our hearts shall turn away so that we will not obey, but shall be seduced and worship other gods, our pleasures and profits, and serve them, we shall surely perish out of the good land, whether we pass over this vast sea to possess. Therefore let us say," he said, "let us choose life, that we and our seed may live, by obeying his voice, God's voice, Christ's voice, and cleaving to him, for he is our life and our prosperity." That, I believe, is the original American dream.